kept you waiting, huh?
Christ, I'm really pushing the boat out this time. I followed on a 3DS game review with another 3DS game review. Absolutely unheard of that would cover either a Sega or a Nintendo game. But with the 3DS eShop closing soon, many people have weighed in with their opinion on what the best game on the 3DS is. However, I'm now here to say that this conversation is no longer needed, because as we all know, my opinion is to be regarded as 100% factual. And that is to say that, objectively, the best game on the 3DS is... Kid Icarus Uprising is one of the few games made by Sora that isn't Smash Bros, a team spearheaded by funny Smash Bros guy Masahiro Sakurai. I remember taking a detour whilst visiting family and buying the box version of the game that included the 3DS stand and the AR cards with the money I'd saved up from Christmas. Christ, that takes me back. Must have been 5 or like 6 years ago. No. No! The plot begins with you finding out that Medusa has been resurrected 25 years after the first game, and about 20 years after that other game that's not real, and you made it up. No, I'm not gaslighting you. Stop being dramatic. You're overreacting. Do you even know how crazy you sound? Before taking down Medusa, you need to defeat her commandos, which include fucking dog on fire, a
Killer fish from San Diego.
And Thanatos. No, wait, not that one. Yeah, that's the one. There's also a commander called Dark Lord Gal, and on your way to beat him, you meet this guy called Magnus, who's literally just a bloke, but more on him later. After the fight with Pandora, Pip crashes through one of those funny distorting mirrors and creates Dark Pit as an excuse for Sakurai to eventually create Echo Fighters. There's then a second detour to the Galactic Sea, where Pit has to defeat space pirates and the space kraken to gain the 3 sacred doodads, giving him an unneeded power-up before the final confrontation with Medusa. Chapter 9 then culminates in this epically proportioned aerial combat, during the final showdown against Medusa gaining favour in battle and using the 3 sacred treasures to finally fell Medusa once more. The credits then roll and you revel in your newfound victory. Then psych! I switched it! Hades tears through the screen, and congratulations, Bozo, you're a third of the way through the game. Whilst I usually dislike talking about spoilers, especially massive plot twists like this, it's pretty hard to talk about how good a game is without mentioning 2/3 of it. Hades then decides to do a fair amount of trolling by convincing the human race that a wish-granting item called the Wish Seed exists, but that someone already has it, which causes the humans to go a bit bonkers and declare war on each other. Such a silly game, that would never happen in reality given the chance. This war pisses off the goddess of nature, Viridi, but that's fine. I mean, she probably won't do anything about it.
What's wrong?
I have to pull you back, now!
Huh? Whoa!
The chaos from the reset bomb that was born from the chaos of the mass human warp, that was also born from the chaos of the Wish Seed, that was born from the chaos of Hades, also attracts the 3rd or 4th enemy group, I don't know, I lose count, in the form of the alien race the Aurum. They want to harvest the Earth for its resources, but luckily the sun god Pyron is here to help, and oh my fucking god, he's an idiot. He gets taken over by the Aurum core, and all the bad guys you faced before have to call a temporary truce to take out the funky space triangles and their stupid idiot leader. And despite having fought the Space Kraken and the Aurum, the weirdest and yet one of its best chapters happens when Pit wakes up 3 years after this conflict, as a ring. After controlling a girl that picks the ring up, and then a dog, and then, oh hey, it's the bloke I told you about earlier. I told you he'd show up again. Pit finds out that Palutena and her forces have turned against the humans, so they should probably go and fix that. Luckily, this is where Dark Pit comes back into the equation, and turns from just a Smash Bros palette swap to an actually decently developed rival. He's more than just a palette swap. I mean, more than a palette swap for Pit, that is. He can also be a palette swap for Yoshi in Woolly World. With Dark Pit's help, regular Pit can destroy the Chaos Kid that was responsible for the whole turning on humans and being transformed into a ring kind of thing that happened. So much shit has happened that you kind of forget at this point that, oh yeah, Hades is the big bad, let's go stop him. Hades being more powerful than Medusa, however, couldn't be stopped with the power of the 3 sacred doodads alone. So Pit needs to go and upgrade the 3 sacred trinkets into the great sacred MacGuffin, and set off to defeat Hades in a climactic final fight, but like the actual final fight this time. There aren't many games that manage to create a story that's this chaotic yet so concise, able to break the fourth wall yet stay so confined to its own world. The overarching story is fantastic, and that's only boosted by the hilarious and extremely well written interactions between the characters. Speaking of, we have to start with the main man himself, Zagreus, on his journey to defeat Hades. Okay, yeah, I'll stop. Hey, I'll stop. Kid Icarus takes a different approach than Hades to its characters, as instead of being directly tied to Greek mythology, only about half of them are, and the other half are just loosely tied to them. The reason for that is... the main example of this being the main character. You'd expect that because the series is called Kid Icarus and has ties to Greek mythology, that the main character would be called Icarus. He's called Pit. The only tie-in with the actual story of Icarus is an interesting spin on it, where Pit can't actually fly despite having angel wings, and therefore relies on Palutena to grant him the power of flight. She can only maintain this power for about 5 minutes, however, and any further use of them will cause his wings to burn up. Pit is the typical happy-go-lucky, heroic protagonist, but the nice thing is that this time he doesn't go too far as to be annoying. He's recklessly upbeat, which plays very well with the other characters as they can't be bothered to deal with him.
Why are you all doom and gloom all the time, Patu? I think a better question is, why are you so annoyingly cheerful?
Palutena is another example of a character being loosely based on a Greek god or goddess, this instance being Athena. One half is competent and knowledgeable, and the other half is a mischievous little scoundrel, simultaneously granting Pit the power of flight, whilst almost nearly taking him out with a massive fucking laser. Another interesting dichotomy is the fact that while she may be the goddess of light in the Kid Icarus games, in Smash Bros. Ultimate she is the devil, evil hellspawn. Medusa is the stark opposite to Palutena. Where there is light, there must also be dark. She's just kind of a psychopath who wants nothing but to bring despair to her enemies. She obviously isn't as developed as any of the other characters, but to be fair, she's only in it for about a third. However, she does get one of the cooler moments to the end of the game, which I want people to experience for themselves. Dark Pit is the physical manifestation of Pit's dark side and repressed feelings, which is probably saying more about Pit, as Dark Pit isn't like totally evil, more of a neutral standpoint, kind of like a Sonic and Shadow kind of deal. Still has a sense of humour, just a lot drier. Also, they gave him the slappiest Spanish type beat for a theme song that raises him at least a couple points in the rankings. Viridi is the goddess of nature, a la Greek goddess Gaia, also taking inspiration from Harry S. Truman. Just like with Pit, it can be very easy to go too far with characteristics and make them overtly annoying. Thankfully, yet again the game hones in the brassy archetype, making it hilarious and bearable. She also kind of acts as an older sister, which you can see through the arguments she has with Pit. And after the Aurum invasion, she and her forces of nature form an alliance with Pit and Palutena against Hades. Speaking of, Hades. Holy shit, Hades. If the dialogue in this game is a 10 out of 10, then Hades' dialogue is 11. He may just be one of, if not the best villain ever written. Although his primary goal is the typical extinction of humans to gather souls and take over the world, his conversations with the rest of the cast and the way that he messes with Pit is funny as hell. His sarcasm and fourth wall breaking is reminiscent of the Disney version of the character. Just listen to him here.
Such a teeny little angel defeating such a big bad god of the underworld. Why, pity. That must make you the most powerful Nintendo character of all time. I'm actually rather proud of you. 8-bit Pit would have never made it this far. But don't worry. I'm not going to tear up the credits again. The game really is over. Which is why I'm here to delete your save data. 1, 2, 3, gone! No, I'm just messing with you, buddy.
That specific dialogue only plays if you wait on the ending screen 5 minutes after the credits end, proving to Marvel fans that you can have an effective end credit scene without having to tease Shingle McDingleton to advertise his Disney Plus 6-episode limited series. There's too many characters to go into all of them extensively here, which speaks volumes about the quality and care put into the writing, so I'll only briefly go over a couple of other good ones. They managed to make the only non-edgy representation of Thanatos and instead make this goofy ab boss. There's the 3 commanders of forces of nature, the lightning wielder Phosphora, a guy called Arlon who's British so he's obviously an enemy, and a boulder. Pyron, he's so fucking lame that he might just be the best character in the game. And Magnus is literally just a guy, a bloke mayhaps. There's probably also a couple I'm forgetting, but there's a dog, so Most chapters are split into 2 sections, the first being an aerial rail shooter and the second being your more typical 3D action game but on land. The aerial sections function similarly to Sin and Punishment's star successor for the Wii. You can move around the screen, however, as Palutena is controlling your flight, you're on a set path and therefore it's closer to the Halo arcade machine that lies derelict in the corner of your local 10-pin bowling's arcade. It honestly feels arcadey and that's a big benefit in my eyes. The ground battles are just as sick, as the level design is so varied and it gives you the freedom to explore and find the secrets that the levels have to offer. Now, contrary to popular belief, the controls aren't that bad, you're just weak. The part that people have the most trouble with during the air battles is where you aim with the touchscreen and control Pit's movement with the circle pad, and yet shoot with the L button at the same time. It's a bit odd, but you can get used to it very easily. Have you tried just not being left-handed? Then again, if only there was a way to have some sort of better control scheme and like maybe enhanced visuals as well. Maybe in a remake or sequel of sort. Oh, fun fact time. Did you know that the difficulty slider system from Super Smash Bros. Wii U and onwards is actually from Kid Icarus Uprising? Wow, what a useless fact. It allows people to tune the game exactly to the difficulty they want. The harder the level, the better the rewards. Some levels even have secrets and alternate routes locked behind a certain difficulty number, which helps the game's replayability if you replay chapters on higher difficulties. And good fucking god does the weapon system slap. There are 9 weapon classes with over 100 individual weapons. All weapons have different capabilities and stats for melee attacks, ranged attacks, attack speed, charge shot speed, etc. Blades are the most balanced one and one of the cooler looking ones. Staffs, I shit you not, are the sniper rifles of the game, with worse melee damage and better range and charge shot damage. Claws are the opposite, with better melee over range shots. They can also make Pit move faster. The bows are the assault rifle option, so similar to staffs but with less range. Palms are actually really cool and as far as I know unique to this game, acting as an arm tattoo that shoots life aura with the same properties as a homing SMG. Fast, low range and homing projectiles. Clubs are slow but powerful in both melee and ranged. I remember the skyscraper club used to slap back in the day. You can launch a sphere of fucking skyscrapers at people. The cannons are what you'd expect, slow but with big burst damage. Orbiters are another unique one, with either dealing 2 shots of damage to one enemy or 1 shot of damage to 2 at the same time. And lastly, arms, which are just melee versions of the cannon. It's a shame that there's this much variety in Pit's moveset, and yet in Smash Bros, the only weapons that he and Dark Pit use outside of their final smashes are a bow and the arm cannon, which was a replacement move anyway. Dark Pit could have been a completely different character. He could use palms or blades. I mean, I don't know, all hope was lost once they removed this from Pit's moveset. I compared a lot of the weapons to guns that you'd find in a typical online shooter. But what if you didn't need a typical online shooter? Does Call of Duty have a mode where a bunch of angels run around the map shooting big ass laser beams at each other? Didn't think so. Multiplayer was so good back in launch. I think it's still available for a little while longer before the 3DS servers shut down, but unless you want to play Pokemon or Mario Kart online, good luck trying to find anyone you want to play with. It's really nice to retouch on older games like this, as you get to see a time period where game developers cramming as many features and bonuses into the game was the norm, and not held behind DLC or free later updates that artificially extend the lifespan of games way past when they would have been played anyway. Some examples being the Street Pass feature, where passing players would exchange gems which then could be converted into weapons with specific stats, unlocking gear through achievements, and the AR cards that came with the game that let you battle characters and items through the 3DS's AR camera. I would show you some of the ones I have still to this day, but I'm at uni right now and forgot to bring any of them with me for this video because I'm a twat. It wouldn't be world-ending if any of these features weren't in the game. It was just nice to have them. Remember, this was the time period where the console actually had customizable themes, better virtual console support, actually tracked game time properly, and had folders that were placed on your home screen, meaning they were actually useful. Anyway, this game looks absolutely incredible, and this is on the base 2011 model of 3DS. Somehow they managed to get one of the best looking games of the console only 1 year into its lifespan. Even before we get to the meat of the game, all the little touches scattered across the game like the UI and the menus are minimalistic yet cohesive with the art direction. And by cohesive with the art direction, I mean from Smash Bros. The Brawl, Wii U and 3DS Smash Bros games all use a similar style of menu design, and another useless fun fact, these menus were all made by Sakurai's wife. Everyone say thank you, Sakurai's wife. Visually, this game shines the most for its use of scale and environments. It never gets old seeing Pit scale up a mountain and emerge to see this vast city below, or watching one of the gods look down on Pit and thinking, oh fuck, that boss is gonna kick my ass 4 chapters in the future. The ground levels look great and fit the theme of whatever boss you're heading towards, but the air sections are just absolutely stunning. This is probably because you get to cover a lot more ground and therefore the terrain becomes a lot more varied. You lack complete control of Pit, and in a way, instead of Pit traversing the level traverses around Pit. There's hundreds of inspirations in the level design, from Greek mythology to Star Fox to geometry to Metroid, and it all combines into something special. The portraits on the lower screen whenever a character speaks are also really well drawn and also really expressive. I challenge you to find a bad song in the game. Every single song is a certified hood classic. To fit in with the whole mythology jig they have going on, the soundtrack is mainly orchestral to exemplify how grand and ambitious the game is on a whole. At this point in writing the script, I purposely avoided using the word epic, as its usage has been kind of degraded to being cringe recently. Cringe also being another word where the usage has been degraded to being cringe. Cruel irony. However, in this case I feel it's really fitting. The word epic is not only defined as the narration of ancient tradition, like the mythology the game is based on, but also can mean being heroic, just like Pit is, and ambitious, just like how the game is truly ambitious for a 2012 3DS title. So yeah, I guess the game is pretty epic, and nothing drives this point across better than its music. I said at the end of my Jet Set Radio review that I couldn't think of a game that needed a remake or remaster more than the original Jet Set Radio on the Dreamcast. Whoops. I guess it was just the recency bias of playing Jet Set Radio on its original hardware not too long before that video came out, and the fact that somehow Kid Icarus Uprising had completely slipped my mind. Kid Icarus Uprising feels like a perfect game that's trapped by the circumstances of the console it's released on. A simple HD remaster just like Wind Waker that ups the resolution and increases the FPS to 60 would be incredible. Just the fact that the game would be on the Switch would fix the controls issue with the second analog stick on the Pro Controller and Joy-Cons, and revitalise its cool ass online, finally giving Nintendo a third-person shooter contender that isn't Splatoon. Think of the potential balance and content patches that Nintendo could make to the online that they would end up not doing. God, I think this is the third time now that I've pined for a remake or a remaster in one of these videos. I don't know if that's just a coincidence, or if the games that fall short of their potential are just fun to make videos on. Either way, I shouldn't have to worry, as Hades said himself in 2012 that he has 25 years until the next sequel.
I have, what, 25 years until the next sequel?
So, only 15 more to go, right? Even if it doesn't, Kid Icarus Uprising is still an absolutely fantastic 3DS game with a masterfully written story, wonderful characters, and extremely intuitive gameplay that's more than deserving of a 5 out of 5. Thanks for watching. It would mean a lot if you've subscribed, so you can see more videos of me complaining about Nintendo and Sega's practices, despite the fact I buy every game. And follow me on Twitch and Twitter to see live how I complain about other companies and yet still buy their games.
I must bid you adieu.